In today's video, I'll be discussing the impact of Joe Biden's student loan forgiveness program on the fiscal trajectory of our country. With the stroke of a pen last week, Joe Biden eradicated a huge swath of student loan debt for the American public. Unlike the targeted student loan forgiveness we saw during the pandemic, Biden's plan has only one stipulation. Your annual income must be less than $125,000 as a single person or $250,000 for a married couple filing jointly. But exactly how much of your student loan debt will be forgiven? Here's how it breaks down. If you received a Pell Grant in college and also meet the yearly income standard, you will be eligible to have up to $20,000 forgiven. If you did not receive a Pell Grant in college but still meet the income standard, you will be eligible to have up to $10,000 forgiven. As a reminder, this only applies to federal student loans. There isn't much the government can do when it comes to forgiving private student loans. Now, before I get into what a fiscal calamity this is for our country, let me say that this has never been done before, and there is a real chance that this could be challenged in court since it's not perfectly clear that Biden has the authority to do this by way of executive order. Former Comptroller General of the federal government, David Walker, hinted as much in a recent tweet when he said, "Student loans are back in the news. POTUS does not have the unilateral right to cancel student loans. Student loans represent the largest federal asset. POTUS can't give away federal property. Canceling them would be illegal, inequitable, inflationary, and fiscally irresponsible." Now, that isn't to say that the student loan system in our country isn't corrupt or rife with inequities and false promises. Generations have been cowed into borrowing huge sums of money for what amounts to a pipe dream. According to Dr. Larry Kotlikoff of Boston University, 40% of those who enter college never finish, and plenty of college grads end up earning less than plumbers. And to put it all into perspective for you, he continues, quote, "Up to 3 million Americans over 60 are still paying off their student loans. Many, in fact, are having their Social Security payments garnished to cover what they still owe," close quote. But as I've said in the past, I'm not here to comment on the morality or immorality of any given piece of legislation or executive order. What I am here to do is tell you about the fiscal consequences student loan forgiveness has for our nation and specifically for your retirement. For starters, exactly how much is the program going to cost us? The nonpartisan Penn Wharton budget model analysts break it down for us. Quote, "President Biden's new student loan forgiveness plan includes three major components. We estimate that debt cancellation alone will cost up to $519 billion. Loan forbearance will cost another $16 billion. The new income-driven repayment IDR program would cost another $70 billion, increasing the total plan cost to $605 billion under strict static assumptions. However, depending on future IDR program details to be released and potential behavior, i.e. non-static changes, total plan costs could exceed $1 trillion, close quote. In one of my recent videos, I talked about how the Inflation Reduction Act actually cuts deficits on the order of $300 billion over the next decade, a rather insignificant amount given the trajectory of the national debt over that time frame, but it was a step, albeit a small one, in the right direction. Well, with a stroke of a pen, Joe Biden completely neutralized every last bit of those savings. Furthermore, this program will likely increase overall student loan balances and the cost of tuition over time. According to Maya McGinnis, president of the Bipartisan Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget, this order, quote, "would do nothing to actually make education more affordable, and if anything, this policy will drive up tuition costs while raising prices on a variety of other goods and services for ordinary Americans," close quote. Okay, folks, it's time for the Power of Zero question of the day. What are your thoughts on Joe Biden's student loan forgiveness program? Go ahead and put your answers in the comment section below. I will respond personally to every single one of them. Even the Washington Post concedes that the Biden plan will cause tuition to increase more rapidly, primarily due to its income-driven repayment IDR provisions. They recently stated that under income-based repayment, your payments vary with your income, not the size of the loan you took out to pay for tuition. So you don't mind borrowing more money because as your debt increases, taxes, your payments remain the same, and the unpaid loan balance is written off after 10 or 20 years. As a result, if you are a student, your college will raise tuition more, and you will borrow more money to pay off that tuition, knowing that taxpayers will someday pay off your IDR program loans. In short, this approach does, in fact, encourage students to take out more debt and colleges to charge more in tuition. These unfunded obligations will ultimately add even more debt to an already unsustainable national debt load over time. So, what impact will this program have on the long-term fiscal outlook of our nation? Well, this program in and of itself won't sink our fiscal ship of state, but when added to the unfunded obligations for Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and interest on the national debt, it will hasten the day of reckoning for our country. And keep in mind that when we add $1 trillion onto the national debt, which is already out of hand, we accelerate the day when the cost of servicing all this debt will consume the entire federal budget. This will likewise accelerate us towards the day when the federal government will be forced to raise taxes to pay for the cost of servicing all that debt. So what does this program mean for all of you who are trying to shield yourselves from the impact of rising taxes by getting to the 0% tax bracket? It means that the tax freight train bearing down on your retirement plan just picked up a little more speed. It means that it is now even more important to get yourself to the 0% tax bracket before the tax apocalypse arrives and decimates your hard-earned retirement savings. If you need help building a plan that shields you from the impact of higher taxes, head on over to davidmcknight.com and opt in for a complimentary strategy session. I'm happy to lend a hand. And don't forget to make any comments or ask any questions in the comment section below. This is David McKnight. I look forward to seeing you on the next video.